Gigantic is a team-based multiplayer game that launched in the summer of 2017. I'd been looking for a new game for a while, and the way the creators described Gigantic sounded interesting to me. They said it's like a MOBA/hero shooter, and I'd previously enjoyed League of Legends and Dota 2. I didn't have much experience with hero shooters, Overwatch hadn't even released by the time I started beta testing Gigantic, so my aim was awful, and honestly I kind of expected to have a bad time. But something about Gigantic was different. It didn't matter that I wasn't good at the game. The actual process of playing the game was so enjoyable that as long as I got to play, even if I knew I couldn't win, I was having fun. I can remember back then thinking to myself, this is something really special. But 6 months later, the studio making the game dissolved and the servers went dark. Gigantic was gone. But it wasn't forgotten. Over the last 7 years since the game was shut down, every few months I'd go check out the Gigantic subreddit to see if anyone had found anything that could scratch the itch. And I wasn't the only one. There was an entire community of people whose hearts were aching for something, anything that could fill the void left by the loss of a game unlike anything else we'd ever played, before or since. And now, it's back. Against all odds, Gigantic has risen from its grave, and its re-release on Steam under the title Gigantic Rampage Edition has given it a second chance at life. I think everyone should check it out, like, right now, but I'm biased. Maybe you're not sure if the game is the right fit for you. Well, let me give you an idea of what it's like. There are 2 game modes in Gigantic, Flash and Rush. They play pretty differently, so for the for the purposes of this video, I'll be going over mechanics and systems that function roughly the same in both game modes. The basic idea of Gigantic is that your team is fighting together alongside a Guardian, a huge beast who offers mutual protection from the enemy team. Kill the enemy team's Guardian and you win the match. Guardians are normally immune to damage, but by getting kills and controlling objectives, you can charge up power for your team's Guardian. Once it has enough, it'll pin down the enemy Guardian for a short time, making it vulnerable. Your team will need to infiltrate the enemy's side of the map to go on the offensive, dealing as much damage as possible to the enemy Guardian before it regains its immunity. But if your Guardian is the one being attacked, you need to disrupt the enemy's offense. Getting kills while your Guardian is vulnerable will shield it from a small amount of damage. And of course, each kill you get means one less enemy to deal damage. On the other hand, if you die while your Guardian is vulnerable, the vulnerability timer is increased by a few seconds, giving your enemies more time to deal damage. Because of that, deaths in Gigantic are even more impactful than in traditional MOBAs or hero shooters. You don't just have to spend time out of the fight while you're waiting out your respawn timer. You're also contributing directly to the enemy's success when you die, giving them bonuses like power, shields, or extra vulnerability time. This can cause a bit of a culture shock for players coming from other games who are sometimes really eager to run into a fight, but much less eager to run away from one. Another thing that trips up new players a lot is the slow time to kill in Gigantic. Compared to other games where if you get caught out you can go from full HP to dead in a matter of seconds, fights in Gigantic are much longer. These extended engagements are less likely to be won by a single strong play, but instead give you the opportunity to make a series of strong plays in a single fight. The slow time to kill also means you'll have more opportunities to escape without dying if you make a single positioning mistake, which is important because of just how much progress you give the enemy team when you die. Some heroes also have access to stealth, which can help them escape from sticky situations. I really like Gigantic's approach to stealth. Stealthed heroes aren't completely invisible. A faint distortion effect can be seen around their silhouette, and if you do successfully hit a stealthed enemy, you'll still see damage numbers above their head. You'd think this would make stealth nearly useless, but it's actually still very strong. It's just not a get-out-of-jail-free card. Stealth heroes still need to use careful movement and misdirection to escape danger or to infiltrate the backlines unnoticed. Anyway, if you're worried that players running away from battles they can't win means you'll never get anything done as an attacker, don't be. Even in fights where you're not able to secure a kill, driving your enemy away from an objective to nurse their wounds has a huge positive impact for your team. I think it's kind of the best of both worlds, because attackers still benefit from winning engagements, but it relieves some of the frustration that defenders might otherwise experience if they were spending the whole match on a respawn timer instead of actually playing the game. And I know I said this earlier, but for me at least, Gigantic is magical to play as long as I get to play. I think a big part of why I feel that way is that the movement systems feel incredible and allow for a great depth of skill expression. Gigantic uses a stamina system. When you're in combat, you consume stamina by jumping, sprinting, or dodging. You start to recover stamina in combat if you don't jump, sprint, or dodge for a few seconds, and once you're out of combat, those actions don't consume stamina at all. Being out of combat for a while also allows you to recover HP, so tagging enemies with a stray bullet to keep them in combat when they're trying to hang back ensures that they'll be out of the fight for longer. Of course, your enemies will be trying to tag you too, which leads to some of the most intense and satisfying jukes I've experienced in any game. Since there are multiple maps in Gigantic, your approach to movement will change depending on which map the current match is being played on. You can use choke points to hold the line, creep through a tunnel to infiltrate the enemy ranks unseen, or use a super jump to get onto high ground. Each map gives you a different set of challenges and a different set of tools to work with. The ways you interact with the layout and terrain of a stage will vary based on the hero you're playing, of course, and no two heroes in Gigantic feel the same. There's a character out there for everyone, regardless of your preferred playstyle. You can even customize individual characters' playstyles through a branching talent tree. If you want to play Voden more like a ranged DPS, you can do that, but if that doesn't appeal to you, no one's stopping you from playing him as a utility support instead. Once you find a hero who really clicks for you, it's just a matter of getting out there and throwing hands. Refine your skills, move with your team, aim for victory. Gigantic is an absolute gem of a game, and if you check it out, I hope you have as much fun as I'm having. Being able to play this game again is genuinely like a dream come true. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the airship.